Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to break down a highly relatable neighborhood dispute that somehow escalated all the way into a fascinating appellate court battle. We're looking at the case of Tucson Estates Property Owners Association versus McGovern. And you know, it's a perfect example of how an everyday, completely normal disagreement can suddenly hinge on the exact and sometimes super unforgiving wording of contract law.
To kick things off, let's ask a question that gets right to the absolute heart of today's case. Imagine this. Your homeowners association sues you, drags you into court, forces you to hire defense attorneys, and against all odds, you actually win. Do they have to pay your legal bills? Now, you might assume that justice guarantees the loser pays up, right? Especially if they started the whole fight. But as we're about to see, the law is rarely that simple, and fairness doesn't always dictate who foots the final bill.
Section 1. The Great Shed Dispute.
Okay. Let's dive into this by establishing the facts of the case, which actually center around a surprisingly fierce disagreement over a 35-year-old garden shed. Picture this. It's 2012. Homeowners Holly McGovern and Donald Sines bought a property and submitted a formal request to replace an aging shed. The HOA had exactly 30 days to respond. An inspector came out, literally gave the homeowner verbal approval, and the shed was built. No problem, right? Well, quietly, back at the office, someone at the HOA checked a plan denial box on an internal form. And get this, they never actually bothered to mail that form to the homeowners. Fast forward more than a whole year later, and the HOA sends a violation letter out of the blue. They eventually sued the homeowners for breach of contract, demanding they tear the entire newly built shed down.
Section 2. The trial court twist.
So let's move to that first trial. The homeowners managed to secure a total victory, but it came with a major, incredibly expensive catch that turned their legal win into a total financial nightmare. The trial judge listened to both sides and ruled completely in favor of the homeowners. The judge basically pointed out that the HOA's year-long delay in giving notice was entirely unacceptable and effectively threw out the HOA's breach of contract claims and any of those associated fines. But then came the twist. The judge declared that in light of the tenor of the case, each party is to bear their own fees and costs. So, the homeowners won the battle to keep their shed for sure, but they were stuck with a massive bill for their own lawyers, meaning they essentially lost thousands of dollars just defending themselves against a delayed, unmerited claim.
Section 3. The unilateral contract problem.
This brings us to the core problem of the case. The homeowners appealed this initial decision, arguing vigorously that they absolutely deserve to have their legal fees covered, and they based this argument on the HOA's very own rulebook. Listen to this exact text pulled directly from the HOA's contract, their conditions, covenants, and restrictions. It mandates that if the HOA wins a judgment, they shall be entitled to recover reasonable legal fees. But you notice what's completely missing there? The contract is dead silent on what happens if the homeowner is the one who wins. It's a strictly unilateral, one-way street designed to protect only the HOA. They guaranteed their own attorneys would be paid, but left the residents completely out in the cold.
Naturally, because of this one-sided provision, the homeowners called foul. They argue that equity and basic fairness demanded they get their fees paid. I mean, their logic was pretty simple. If the HOA would have been guaranteed their fees had they won, fairness dictates the homeowners should get the exact same treatment when they emerge victorious. Why should a contract only punish one side? It sounds incredibly logical, doesn't it?
Section 4. Discretionary fees and the word may.
To understand the appellate court's decision on this really compelling fairness argument, we have to look closely at the specific wording of the Arizona state statute that governs contract disputes. The appeals court pointed out that the relevant law, Arizona Revised Statute Section 12341.01, explicitly uses the word may. It says the trial court may award the successful party reasonable attorney fees. In the eyes of the law, may is a huge magic word. It means the judge has the power to award fees, but they are absolutely not forced to do so. The statute is designed to mitigate the burden of litigation, sure, but it does not strictly demand equity when a contract happens to be drafted in a one-sided manner.
So when a judge has this kind of discretion, how do they decide? Well, they consider several specific factors to determine if an award is appropriate. They look at a checklist of things like whether the litigation could have been avoided entirely, the novelty of the legal questions, or if an award would cause extreme hardship to one of the parties. In this specific scenario, the trial court felt the merits of the actual shed dispute were equally balanced, and that only the HOA's long delay tipped the scales in favor of the homeowners. Because of this evaluation, the appellate court ruled that the trial judge did not abuse their discretion in denying the attorney fees.
Section 5. Mandatory costs and the word shall.
Now let's switch gears to the second part of the homeowner's appeal, which focuses on standard court costs rather than attorney fees. This really builds our broader understanding of how the law operates here. When it came to those general court costs, we're talking things like filing fees, document processing, and administrative court expenses. The appeals court highlighted a completely different statute. Notice the phrasing on this one? The successful party shall recover from his adversary all costs. While the attorney fee statute we just looked at used may, this statute uses the critical, legally binding word shall. It removes the guesswork entirely.
So, let's put these side by side, because the crucial point boils down to this. In the legal world, attorney fees and court costs are treated very differently under these statutes. Attorney fees are purely discretionary because of the word may. The judge gets to assess the situation and make a judgment call. But general court costs, those are legally mandatory because of the word shall. The judge has absolutely no choice in the matter. The winner must be reimbursed for those specific statutory costs, totally regardless of the tenor of the case.
Section 6, the final legal takeaway.
All right, let's look at exactly how the appellate court ultimately resolved this David versus Goliath neighborhood dispute, now that we understand the two contrasting statutes at play. The final verdict was basically a split decision. On one hand, the appeals court affirmed the denial of the attorney fees, which meant, yep, the homeowners still had to shoulder the massive burden of paying their own lawyers, despite actually winning the overall case against their HOA. However, they did reverse the trial court's denial of court costs. Because the homeowners successfully defeated the HOA's claims, the appeals court ruled they were legally entitled to their mandatory court costs under that strict shall statute. So it's a partial financial victory, but definitely a bitter pill to swallow when it comes to those attorney bills. You know, the court actually noted in their opinion that fixing this one-sided contract issue isn't really a job for the judges. It's up to the legislature. Their hands were tied by the text. And that leaves us with a really provocative final question to take away. When homeowners are essentially forced to sign unilateral, asymmetrical HOA contracts just to buy a house, is it time for lawmakers to step in and level the playing field? Definitely something to think about the next time you're reading the fine print on a neighborhood agreement. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the details.